So I'm delighted to be joined by Gina Martin. Gina, can I just ask you to comment on Instagram's statement? Have they done enough to make Instagram safe and supportive?
Well, look, I feel like there's obviously small changes being made continuously with the platform, but I can't say that I think enough's being done. With my work, I spend a lot of time with young girls and young women, and it's something that constantly comes up is how these platforms make them feel and how they have a real effect on their day-to-day lives.
And so what would you like to see? I mean, Instagram's owned by, giant Facebook. What would you like to see Facebook do?
I think for me to offer kind of a working solution would be a bit misguided given the work I do, but I do definitely think that the online safety bill that's coming forward is probably an opportunity for something legislatively to be done, working closely with the platforms, because I think what we're often seeing is a bit of a silo in terms of legislation, and then the platforms trying to bring in tools, but some kind of coalition across politics and with these platforms, with the coders, the people who truly understand how these platforms work the most, could lead to some actual change. Whether that bill goes far enough, I'm not quite sure at the moment, because we've seen some pushback from charities and kids' charities. But it feels like we're getting to a point now where we can see the harm that's being done. This isn't the first review and this isn't the first data. It's obviously Facebook's own review internally. But we've seen so much conversation about this in the last 5-10 years. And it's getting to a point where people are leaving the platform and having to opt out because it's getting too hard to exist on those platforms. And young people are doing that often with their Finsta accounts. They create small accounts that are private where they can really be themselves in that space, because their actual Instagram account is a highlights reel that they feel is just aspirational and damaging. So we're seeing behaviours changing. I would like to see more tools, and I would also like to see comprehensive legislation to hold platforms to account as well.
But how can you frame legislation if there is just something intrinsic about the nature of the platform? I think many people would say that is just harmful for young people.
I think that's a really good question, because the nature itself of the platform is incredibly image-based. And so it's going to be very, very hard to get away from this comparison culture with the platform. But we do see very, very harmful facets of the platform. We see filters taking over to the extent that young girls do not know what regular skin texture is meant to really look like. I do events where I take photos with kids after we've done talks or workshops, and many kids are too uncomfortable to take a photo with me that doesn't have a filter on it, and they're like 11 years old. So simple things, workable solutions, workable tools, disclaimers when filters are being used. We know that with influencer culture, there is a huge problem with changing body shapes. Even in video, we can do that now. And so I feel like there are parts of this platform that could be made less harmful, even though the platform itself is very, very easily lended to harm. But I think definitely the body image issues and the unrealistic beauty standards on that platform are really harming young girls. And there are ways that we can create disclaimers, pop-ups and tools to make them a little less intrusive, I guess.
And what about either at home or in educational settings? What more should all of us, who have responsibility for children be doing?
Well, I think, like with anything, right? Like if we want a big change or we want some kind of structural change, there has to be a cultural change that comes with that. That's understandable. But I also think that to rely on parents, on teachers and on carers to be educating young girls or young people kind of one by one out of their behaviour about their usage, that it's over 9 hours, about the fact that they don't want to take a picture without a filter, that's not a sustainable change. And I definitely feel like there's a big responsibility with influencers, because we know that influencing is quite a gendered job. It is a valuable job and it's a valid job. But 84% of influencers in a 2019 analysis were women. Part of my job as an influencer myself. And I want to see influencers being more transparent, because the amount of imagery that young girls are taking in 9 hours a day of women like me who are visible with big platforms, it's going to change your behaviour and it's going to change the way you feel about yourself. So I think it can start from influencers, but I also think it has to come from top down, platform down. And I don't think we should be relying on parents and teachers who are already strained to be educating their children on a platform that actually they didn't even have growing up. I mean, I got Instagram when I was 20. You know, there's so much about it I don't even know because it's changing all the time. We can't keep up with the platforms, and it's up to the platforms to be far more transparent and be making this a priority, even though it's not profitable for them.
Gina, lovely talking to you. Sadly, we are almost out of time, but I hope you'll come back again because this is such an important issue.